evening, kids. I hope you all are doing well. My name is Ankur and today we are going to study something about work done. So, what is work done? In order to understand what is work done, we need to understand about two things, that is force and the displacement. Suppose we are applying a force on a particular body and it is getting displaced. We can say that work is happening there. Work is done by the force applied on it. And if a force is applying on a particular body and it is not getting displaced, then we can say work is not happening there. Okay, so there are two most important things to find out the work done, that is force and displacement. Now we can focus on the first example. There is a wall in which a force F is applying on it, but if we are applying a force on the wall and wall is not displacing from its position, then the displacement will be 0, so work done will be 0 because work done is equal to force into displacement. Okay, so in the second example we can understand that suppose a block is at a initial position of A, we have applied a force F on this particular block and it is displaced to a position B. Now here is a displacement in the direction of the force and the displacement is S, so we can say that work done is equal to force into displacement, and here work done is going to happen exerted by the force F. Okay, so displacement must be in the direction or in the opposite direction of the force applying on it. We will study later about it, but basic concepts are we need to find out the force and the displacement to figure out whether work is happening or not. Okay, so based on the conditions of the force and displacement, we can figure out the work done. Okay, now the unit of the work done is joule. Since it's a scalar quantity, so it only have magnitude, it doesn't depend upon the path of the displacement. Okay, so we can say that work done is equal to force into displacement into cosine of the angle between them. Since a force is at an angle to the displacement, then we can say that work done equal to force into displacement into cos of the angle between force and displacement. Based on that, the angle between force and displacement, we can differentiate the work into three different types, that is positive work, negative work and the zero work. So first of all, we need to figure out what is positive work. In case of positive work, suppose we can find out in the diagram that a block is at the initial position of A, we have applied a force F on it and the block is displaced toward the distance of S and it reached to a new position B. Now in this first case, the force is in the direction of the displacement, or we can say the displacement is in the direction of the force. If a force is applying in the forward direction and displacement is happening in the forward direction, we can say that work done is positive. Now we can calculate it with the formula also. Since work done equals to force into displacement into cos of the angle between them. Now if force and displacement are in the same direction, then the angle between them is equals to 0. So cos 0 is going to be 1. So we can say that work done equals to F into displacement into cos 0. That is F into S into 1. So work done will be equal to force into displacement, and that work done will be positive. We can find out this with an example. Suppose we are applying a force on a particular body in the forward direction and body is moving forward, then we can say that work done by the force exerted will be positive work done. Okay, so based on this scenario, we can also focus on the second thing, that is negative work done. In case of negative work done, as we can see in the diagram, displacement is happening in the forward direction and the force is applying on it in the backward direction. So the angle between force and displacement is 180 degrees since both are in the opposite direction. Now we can calculate the value of the work done, that is F into S into cos of angle between them. Since displacement and force both are on the opposite direction, then the value of angle will be 180 degree and the value of cos 180 will be equals to -1. So work done is equals to minus Fs. Here work done will be negative. We can understand it better with the example. Suppose a body is moving on a rough surface. Okay, it has some velocity, it is moving on the rough surface. Since it is a rough surface, it will have a frictional force. Now body is moving forward and frictional force always oppose the motion of the body. So frictional force will be applying on it in the backward direction. So what frictional force will be do? Frictional force will do the negative work on the body and it will keep on opposing the body till the velocity of that particular body is going to be 0. So here we can say that work done by the frictional force is going to be a negative work done. We can find out it by the real life examples. Okay, now we can also focus on the next part, that is zero work done. How we can say there is a work happening or not? It depends on the angle between the force and the displacement. We can see in the diagram, a block is placed on a particular platform. It has a tendency to be displaced in the forward direction, but there is no force applying on it. Only force is, that is its weight mg. Okay, so work done can be 0 since the formula is work done equals to force into displacement into cos of angle between them. So work done can be 0 if F is 0 or displacement is 0 or the angle between force and displacement is 90 degree. Why 90 degree? Because work done equals to force into displacement into cos 90 and the value of cos 90 is going to be 0. So work done is equals to force into displacement into 0 and work done will be equals to 0. Clear? We can understand it better in the with the real life example. Suppose a coolie is carrying a load on the moving on a straight path on the platform. Okay, so coolie is applying the force in the upward direction on the load, but the displacement of the load is in the forward direction. So force is applying on the upward direction vertical and motion of the load is in the forward direction. So the angle between force and displacement is going to 90 degree. So if the angle between force and displacement is going to 90 degree, the cos 90 value will be 0. So work done is going to be a 0. Okay, thank you.